Not only will you own nothing and be happy, but of course you're going to be living in a virtual world. Well, that's Facebook's parent company, Meta. A world where we're all living in these boxes plugged into the Matrix. We got the VR headsets, that's Oculus Rift. We got our messenger, we got our information on our friends with our Facebook. We can message each other. We got these avatars. We're like these little me, avatars, and we can only talk to each other through that intermediated space. Of course, everything's fact-checked and perfect, and you know that you're never going to go off base because experts are on the case. Meta announces that they're going to be combating disinformation from Russia on their platform, Facebook, amongst other platforms. They start out with Facebook, and this is what they say. We've established a special operations center staffed by experts from across the company, including native Russian and Ukrainian speakers who are monitoring the platform around the clock, allowing us to respond to issues in real time. They now have this special operations center staffed by experts who are going to be monitoring the platform around the clock. And then, thirdly, which I think really pissed off the Russians, we're taking extensive steps to fight the spread of misinformation and implementing more transparency and restrictions around state-controlled media outlets. So what that's going to be, and we know this already, hey, we got fact checkers, and reality is what we decide it is. And we've seen that before in the, let's say, health crisis that we've just lived through, and now we're seeing it applied to information about war zones. Sign up to WCFreedom.com so you don't miss a beat. Really appreciate it right there. WCFreedom.com. The best way to support us is to check out BULLETMAKER and Vestige. BULLETMAKER right here. Post-Apocalyptic, Pre-Armageddon action fantasy. On March 4th, Russia decides that they're going to block Facebook straight, just like that. They're going to block it out. You won't be able to access it. They're not happy with these policies. Disinformation decided by an American company obviously is not sitting well with them. Let's take a look. We've got this tweet from Nick Clegg, who's the president of global affairs of Meta. And Meta, again, is the parent company for Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram. On the Russian government's decision to block access to Facebook in the Russian Federation, soon millions of ordinary Russians will find themselves cut off from reliable information, deprived of their everyday ways of connecting with family and friends, and silenced from speaking out. We will continue to do everything we can to restore our services so they remain available to people to safely and securely express themselves and organize for action. They are deeming themselves reliable information right there. Next, anytime it says, and stopping people from being silenced from speaking out. Okay, well, who has never been silenced from Facebook? Have you ever had a timeout? A lot of people have had. So people are already feeling like that on that platform. Here, securely express themselves and organize for action. That's a big one there, organize for action. So it's as if they're actually, and you're going to see that in a second here, that they want you to take action, okay? There's certain action that these large companies and governments are okay with, and then there's certain actions that they're not okay with. And as long as you're organizing for action they're okay with, everything's fine. My name is Rohan Kumar Paul. My LinkedIn is right there in the description. I have, like a lot of people, lost my job from being involved in freedom and all this kind of stuff and being outspoken. If you know somebody or a company that's looking for a Node.js, Linux, heavy-duty 20-plus years experience expert programmer, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You're thinking, all right, wow, Russia has blocked access to Facebook. They're obviously in the wrong. Maybe they're in the wrong. I don't know. Disinformation depends on how you look at things. Who decides what disinformation is? Well, fast forward a couple days and then some kind of eye-opening stuff happens. Reuters, Facebook allows war posts urging violence against Russian invaders. March 10th. What did I just read? Meta platforms will allow Facebook and Instagram users in some countries to call for violence against Russians and Russian soldiers in the context of the Ukraine invasion, according to internal emails seen by Reuters on Thursday, in a temporary change to its hate speech policy. The social media company is also temporarily allowing posts that call for death to Russian President Vladimir Putin or Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, according to internal emails to content moderators. Issuing a spirit of the policy allowance to allow T1 violent speech that would otherwise be removed under the hate speech policy when A, targeting Russian soldiers, except prisoners of war, or B, targeting Russians where it's clear that the context is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That is, content mentions the invasion, self-defense, etc. It's in the email. This is email sent out to their moderators. I am absolutely amazed. And then there's another line here. Emails also showed that Meta would allow praise of the right-wing Azov battalion, which is normally prohibited, in a change first reported by The Intercept. So you're allowed to praise a right-wing battalion, but you can't have hate speech? I don't understand this. The Meta spokesperson previously said the company was, for the time being, making a narrow exception for praise of the Azov regiment strictly in the context of defending Ukraine or in their role as part of the Ukraine National Guard. I want to make it clear I'm not a Russian expert by any means necessary. I'm not a Russian expert at all, but even I know that Azov Battalion is, as far as I understand, very right-wing. It's a heavy-duty right-wing nationalist organization, so you can support them and call for the death of Vladimir Putin, but you can't have hate speech. I don't understand how these things connect together. What's hate speech if it's not literally calling for the death of a leader, a world leader? Hey, who knows? You tell me. Tell me in the comments, because I'm at a loss over here. Russia responds March 11th. As you know, on March 11th, the Meta platform has made an unprecedented decision by allowing the posting of information containing calls for violence against Russian citizens on social networks, Facebook and Instagram. Since it'll take time for active Instagram users to transfer their photo and video materials, Roskomnadzor has decided to complete the procedure on imposing restrictions on Instagram on March 14th. Nick Clegg, the president for global affairs for Facebook, responding to reports that the Russian government is considering designating Meta as an extremist organization for its policies in support of speech, there has been a lot of coverage and discussion of how we're applying our policies to speech in the context of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. I want to be crystal clear. Our policies are focused on protecting people's rights to speech as an expression of self-defense in reaction to a military invasion of their country. The fact is, if we applied our standard content policies without any adjustments, we would now be removing content from ordinary Ukrainians expressing their resistance and fury at the invading military forces, which would rightly be viewed as unacceptable. To be clear, we're only going to apply this policy in Ukraine itself. We have no quarrel with the Russian people. There's no change at all in our policies on hate speech as far as the Russian people are concerned. We will not tolerate Russophobia or any kind of discrimination, harassment, or violence towards Russians on our platform. But of course, you can encourage death on Putin, death on all their army, and anybody serving. This is a temporary decision taken in extraordinary and unprecedented circumstances. We'll be keeping the situation under review in the period ahead. What that reads to me like is word salad rationalization to try to give some credibility to these decisions that they've already decided to make. They're just trying to rationalize it. That's how I read it, because it's really at their whim and their discretion now. You can see that, hey, you can call for death as long as it's the death of the people that we want to be dead. But at the same time, hey, please be careful. We don't want to have any phobia against you, but we're allow you to call for death. It's a sad state of affairs. It's sad for Ukraine. It's sad for Russia. It's sad for the world, what's happening out there. And it's really sad for free speech, and also for what I consider to be not really acceptable speech in any context. It's encouraging violence instead of trying to bring it down a level. But hey, this is where we're at. Instagram being blocked on Monday, March 14th. All right, so we've got head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri, who responds to Russia's decision to block access to Instagram. Let's take a look at him.
The Russian government has decided to block Instagram in Russia, cutting off millions of people from loved ones and friends around the world.
Cutting off millions of people from their loved ones. Okay, is that right?
You know that over 80% of people in Russia on Instagram follow an account from outside of Russia.
I feel sick looking at the way this guy actually moves. There's something about him in his body language it makes me feel very squeamish.
The situation is terrifying, and we're trying to do all that we can to help keep people safe. We've made encrypted chats available to everyone in Ukraine and Russia. We've encouraged everyone in the region to make their accounts private.
I think you're nuts if you actually believe that anything is encrypted if you use any of Meta's services. I want to really be clear about that. Nothing is private if you use their services. It just isn't.
We've made it so that you cannot see who another account follows for safety reasons. We've also pledged $15 million to...
Is that you're cutting off people from their loved ones. No mention of any kind of decisions to censor certain things, to say something's disinformation and then to block it. No mention whatsoever of taking away the sovereignty of a country. Okay, there's just nothing there. Not to mention these calls for violence, for death. I don't know. Violence and death, calling for that on these social media platforms, and that's fine, but God forbid you misgender somebody. I don't know. I don't know what to say. There it is. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Really appreciate it. Sign up to WCFreedom.com so you don't miss a beat. Really appreciate it right there. WCFreedom.com. The best way to support us is to check out BULLETMAKER and Vestige. BULLETMAKER right here. Post-Apocalyptic, Pre-Armageddon action fantasy. If that sounds interesting to you, I'm a comic book guy. Always have been, and I think I'm always going to be. I'd love to impart the joy of real heroism to children, to kids, to my kids. That's really what got me into making comics. It's I just found what was out there was morally degenerate, and they had destroyed what real heroism was. So over here, what we've done is create a world, okay, and this is the author here. Take a look at this. Kids are going to love this stuff. Something like that. Look at that art right there. If you're interested, check it out. The link is in the description. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Through his pact with mankind, Vulcan is once again worshipped as he was during the reign of the Romans. The Abrahamic religions and great philosophies of the East are all but forgotten, except by a select few. The disintegration of society in the dark era that followed led to a natural resurgence in belief in the once forgotten primal gods. Now, the champions of Vulcan hold the key to humanity's survival. These acolytes are called bullet makers. It's about a world. It's about a post-apocalyptic, pre-Armageddon world. And it's, man, if you want to get lost in a universe, this is the universe to do it. Anyhow, there it is. Thank you so much for your time. Highly appreciate it.